Splitting a database is taking a database and dividing it into two, where you get a front end and a back end. On the front end, it contains all the objects like queries, forms, and reports that the front end user is going to be using, and it's going to be linked to the back end, which contains only the tables storing the raw data. Now, if it's not linked, then on the front end, when somebody opens up the form or report, they won't be able to pull over any data. The back end is going to be stored on a server that's accessible across the network on the front end that's going to be stored on a user's local machine or computer. So for example, if you have 20 users that need access to the database here, we can go ahead and copy the front end database 20 times and go ahead and store it on their local computers, that they can access the raw data across the network, the back end database on the server. Now, why would I want to go ahead and split the database? I can think of 4 benefits. One is improved performance, where only the shared data is being sent across the network when you have a split database, as opposed to all the data and the objects being sent across, because remember, the front end database has the objects stored on the front end, so that doesn't have to be sent across. Only the data that's being used that we're pulling across from the tables on the back end. So that way, we don't slow the network down. Second of all is reliability, where if the front-end user encounters a problem or a corrupted file on the front-end database, it's usually limited to that copy, so we can go ahead and replace that on the user's local computer without affecting everybody else. Third of all is the flexibility, where the front-end user can create their own forms and queries and store them in their front-end database there without affecting all the other users. So if Bob wants to create 20,000 forms, great. He's the one that has to manage his front-end database on his computer. And then finally, for the admin, he only has to deal with one copy of the database to manage and protect, which is the back end here. That stores the table and all the raw data within the tables. So to go ahead and split the database, it's really simple. Just come up here, click on the Database Tools tab, go to the Move Data group, and there it is, Access Database. You can see the first cylinder and how it's just splitting it into two, the front end, the back end. Go ahead and click on it, and it says, do you want to split the database now? Yes, go ahead and click Split Database. And then what it's going to do, it's going to take the name of the original database before it's being split, and that's going to be known as the front end. So it says, okay, I've got the front end now. What I want to do, as you can see up here, I want to create the back end. It's going to have the same name as the front end, but with a little extension there, an underscore BE for back end. So if you like that, go ahead and just click split. If you don't, then just type in whatever makes sense to you. This is my back end database. I'm going to go ahead and click split. Okay. And now you're looking at the front end. How do you know? Well, a couple of indicators are. Up at the top it doesn't say integration underscore BE for backend. Second of all, you've got tables. Wait a second, you said that there weren't going to be any tables in the front end. Well, actually there's not. Because if you look to the left hand side of the table, you got these arrows. That means it's linked to the table stored in the back end. In fact, you can see when I hover over that table there, it's got that little pop-up address. And at the end of the address it says integration. Let me do this again. Integration underscore BE for backend. That's where it's pointing it to. So when you open up a form here, it goes to the table here, and this table says, I'm not actually storing anything, so you'll have to see this table that I'm linked to stored in the back end across the network on the company server. Now, as a side note, if you're going to be creating switchboards, which if you haven't watched my training videos on that and you don't know what they are, then you can go ahead and watch it, that you want to go ahead and create your switchboard after you split the database, because it's best if the switchboard table resides on the front end and not the back end. Like my switchboard here, you see the arrow pointing to the left hand side. That means it's stored in the back end, and this is just a link to it. So go ahead and split your database, and then if you're going to create a switchboard, create it on the front end. And of course, when you create it, the switchboard items table will be stored without linking to the back end because it's going to be on the front end. Okay, so this is the front end. Let's go ahead and close out. Double click and open up the exercises folder, and my front end was simply the original name of the database, integration, and there's the back end, BE, double click, and it only stores the tables that the front end is linking to. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos, and for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.